Yeah. All right. So, welcome everybody. I'm glad you all could come. And I'm going to mute everybody first, okay? So that way I won't have a lot of a disturbance in the background. So, okay. So you all can still hear me, right? If you can, raise your thumbs. All right, good. Yeah, so I'm glad you guys are here. What I wanted to do is I've had a lot of people thank me for the first Zoom call that I did. You remember? Time's flown. It's like almost 2 months now since I made that Zoom call. The Zoom call about the before the lockdown. Then we had the coronavirus, and now we're going through the after the lockdown. So what's going to happen? I've had my clinic open now, to the public. This is my second week. And what I'm doing basically is I'm trying to share a lot of what I'm seeing at the clinic with you folks, as well as all the things that I saw during that lockdown. Same thing like we anticipated prior to our lockdown, the things that I shared, and now the things that I'm seeing, I'm sharing with you folks, both seeing what's happening in Sarasota, what's happening in China, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in a lot of the non-political news stations. So we can get an idea of kind of like, if we can have an idea of what's coming down the road, we'll be better prepared. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen for you, okay? So this is going to be a slideshow. So, all right, can you guys see that? Can you see the slide that I'm sharing for you guys? Yeah? And yes. You can hear me, right? Okay, good. All right. So we're going to start. So the topic of this one is after the lockdown, then what? So I'm going to try and see also if I can see what the folks are, because then, there you go. Yeah, because people keep dinging me as we're going through. All right. All right, Carol just got dropped. She's coming back in. Okay, so we're going to go through the slideshow now. So we're going to start off by discussing, well, what do we know about COVID-19? The last time when I did the talk, we were just starting, and when I said, well, what do we know about COVID-19? Not much was known, but now, 2 months later, I can say, what do we know about it? You all can write a story about it because, we certainly have heard enough about that on the news, I'm sure. So, but let's just revisit. Well, this is coming from the CDC numbers. The USA, as of last night, had 1.48 million total cases, 89,000 deaths, okay? But what they didn't tell you is that we had 356,383 recovered. And the map here shows the distribution of the cases. The darker color one, like here in Texas and Florida, these are the higher cases. It doesn't mean that the most number of deaths, it's just the highest cases. So if you see down here, we're at 45,588 to 347,000, the dark areas. Florida actually barely made it into this. As of today, there were about 45,000 cases. So because of the numbers and because, DeSantis in Florida, as well as the other states, they're seeing the leveling of the curve. They're saying, okay, we can reopen the economy, which is a good thing, because if you really think about it, compared with like the flu and some of the others, this one really, though it's a very contagious disease, it actually is not a very scary disease if you think about it. And we'll talk more about that. So as a result, we're seeing more and more of the states reopening. So in this current map here, you see the blue color. The blue color are the states that are reopening, including Florida. The ones that have the lines, the yellow and the lines, they are gradually reopening. And then the ones that are light color over here, they have plans to reopen. They haven't started reopening yet, but they have plans to reopen. And the ones that are very bright yellow, like Illinois, and Michigan, they haven't really opened yet. So that's the state as of last night. But then, of course, the reopening is great. But with the reopening, every single person involved in the United States right now, and we'll just keep it in the United States, every single person in the United States is going to say, okay, we're reopening. The first question is, of course, is it safe, right? Are we reopening too soon? Are we reopening too late? So these questions come into our mind. Is it really safe to reopen? Are we in the clear? Another question is, will there be a second wave? And if you turn on the news right now, the two headlines is, number one, we're reopened. Number two, the second wave is coming. So if you have not been scared to death by the first wave, you are now probably panicking there's a second wave coming. And you can imagine, God, if the first wave, just in the first 2 days, we couldn't find any toilet paper, what's going to happen when the second wave hits, right? So people say, let's go and start buying toilet paper again. So everyone's asking, is there going to be a second wave? And then, of course, those of us that are not that, like really, we can sit down and logically think about it. Is that something we can do? Okay, it's like if you're going to fly on a plane and you have motion sickness, what are you going to do? You're going to take some meds, or you're going to take some precautions so you don't get motion sickness. So there are proactive measures you can take. You can only take the proactive measures if you know what you're going to be facing. So the big part of this talk is for us to discuss what the reopening is going to look like. What are we looking at right now? Okay, so this is the discussion. So these three questions are what we're going to answer. So we jump right into it. The first question, well, is it safe? I want you guys to think about it. COVID-19, thus far, how is COVID-19 treated? Give that some thought, okay? Well, since February, what have they been telling you? Hand washing, face mask, social distancing, travel restrictions, hand washing, face mask, social distancing. I can go on and on and on like a repeated broken record. That's what you're hearing, right? And then testing, okay? If you're positive, you get quarantined. If you're not positive and if you feel a little ill, well, you still get quarantined. You just self-quarantine, okay? And then if you start developing really bad symptoms, well, you go to ER. And then when you're in ER, what do they do to you? Well, they give you ventilators if you can't breathe. And then at the same time, they give you antibiotics. And at that point, they pray and hope that you survive. Because beyond that, that's really not much they're doing. Okay? As far as medication is concerned, there really isn't one right now that is specific for coronavirus. The two standouts are hydroxychloroquine and more recently, remdesivir. They have been shown to have helped a lot of the patients who have been at the acute stage of the respiratory distress. And that's a really wonderful sign. But other than that, if you think about it, okay, well, there's alternative, vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, ultraviolet light, Chinese medicine, but there's no vaccination. So when you really think about it, you contrast that with when you were a kid, when you had the flu, what happened? Your mom says, well, you're not going to school. You are staying home. You're going to your room. You're going to drink plenty of fluids. You're going to eat plenty of soup. You're not eating any ice cream. You're not having any dessert. You're just going to rest. And then you're going to sleep this thing off. How's it different from this? Not that much different. If you're at home, you have the flu. If you develop very, very severe situation, what will your mom likely do? Probably send you to the hospital and send you to ER. So there's really not much difference there. So when you really look at it, how has COVID-19 been treated thus far? Not at all. It's basically the individual's immune system that is helping to address the virus. And then later, when you look at the next set of stats that I'm going to show you, you're going to see that only about 10% or less of the people that are tested are affected. We'll see those stats in a second. So deaths, next thing we have to look at is, just now in the first statistics, we had like 60, 70,000 deaths, okay, out of 1.4 million. Well, those are deaths that are associated with COVID-19. you're seeing more and more that they were really not caused by COVID-19. The actual deaths caused by the virus is only around 3,000 to 4,000. The rest are deaths that are indirectly tied to COVID-19. Well, how did they come up with that number? They say, well, here's a patient, the patient died. Oh, this patient was tested before he died, and he had tested positive with COVID-19. Well, let's rule the death COVID-19. It's not caused by COVID-19. So those of you that were in my talk, my first talk, you remember me saying that COVID-19 attacks the body, comes to the lungs, goes into the body. Once it hits the body now is trying to fight it. This is a strong virus, which means that the body is trying everything it can to strengthen the immune system. So the organ systems in the body that are weaker, if the person has diabetes, it's the liver and the kidney. If the person has heart issues, obviously the heart. If the person has hypertension, macular degeneration, it's the liver. Those type of organs, they will then get strained trying to fight against coronavirus. And as they get strained, some of them will fail. And when they fail, they will die of those chronic diseases. So someone that has kidney, for example, going through dialysis, they'll probably die of kidney failure because the kidney is trying to help the body fight against the immune system, but it's already weakened. So as the coronavirus goes deeper into the body, the kidney is more taxed. Next thing you know, the person dies of kidney failure. But the death is associated with COVID-19, so they then count that against COVID-19. So when you look at that, the death actually caused by COVID-19 is not that big. So what does that mean? That means that, again, how much do we have to be really scared about COVID-19? It's a real virus, don't get me wrong, but is it really that scary? I mean, I've been thinking the last 2 weeks, I say, we look at this, and for me, I call this a weak-ass virus, okay? It's a contagious, but it's a weak-ass. Can you imagine if it was a really highly contagious virus out there, what we would be like? I can't even imagine. Forget hogging toilet paper. So let's continue. And then, so you look at the death rate, okay? So the death rates, I'm letting people in as we talk. So the death rate of coronavirus patients with pre-existing condition is at about 10.5, is about 12%. And of that, look at this, 0.9% has no underlying causes. It's literally 1% of the death rates directly tied to coronavirus. The rest is some kind of underlying condition. You got your heart problems, you got your diabetes, which is the liver, kidney, you got chronic respiratory disease, which is the lung, the liver, the kidney, and then you got high blood pressure, which is the liver, and cancer, you got all the organs inside there. So basically, the person is dying because the body is strained. So what is it telling you? It's telling you the same thing I was saying back 2 months ago. I said, what if instead of focusing on the virus, we focus on our body's immune system, focus on our organs? If we can get our organs strong, well, guess what? These numbers should go down. It's that simple. So we look at another thing. What we're also finding in the US is by age. Look at that, out of 12%, 10.4% is 85 years and older. That's significant. Again, why is it that it makes sense? The older we get, the weaker our immune system. So the two correlate with each other. So when you start thinking about that, the whole question of is it safe really takes a different direction now. Because now the focus is no longer on the coronavirus. The focus is on you. How can you make yourself strong? If you can make yourself strong, great. Versus if it was a virus that literally you touch the person, you get affected and you die. That's a whole different situation. But this is not it. So therefore, is it safe? Think about it, okay? Will there be a second wave? This has been the talk of the town everywhere. Is there a second wave? There's predictions all over. Yes, there is. They even talk about July, August, September, etc. Well, my take on it is this. My take on this is, yes, there will likely be a second wave, but not what you think. This is what I'm thinking. it is not a wave caused by COVID-19. Then what is it? It is a wave of symptoms that exists because during the lockdown and the fear, the individual's immune system has significantly weakened. So during the lockdown, what happens? During the lockdown, look at this. Inactivity, poor diet, stress, emotional trauma, isolation, lack of fresh air, lack of sunlight, increased drinking, increased smoking, health damage from all those toxic cleaners. You're inhaling them every day. All of that will damage your immune system. So now you have the lockdown, okay? The lockdown, this is happening to you. Then what happens after the lockdown? Well, after the lockdown, the people come out, the immune systems are weakened, and guess what? Now the individual is out there, and the individual is vulnerable to your basic viruses, bacteria, and germs that exist this time last year, this time 2 years ago, this time 3 years ago, this time in May. We were able to handle that because our immune systems were okay. But now it's not. So now we become prone. We start showing symptoms. We start having allergies. We start coughing. We start sneezing. Here's where the problem becomes. When we get that, okay, what happens then is we start having all these symptoms. Your typical headache, fever, sudden loss of taste, smell, loss of voice, cough, sore. So these are just your basic symptoms you see a lot of times. However, because of the last 2 months of fear and all the stress people have, as soon as you have this, well, guess what? People are going to associate you with potentially having coronavirus. I mean, think about it, you're outside now. If someone next to you cough, what are you going to do? You look around. Is the person wearing a mask? Is the person like a gagging? Am I going to die? Do I have to wear a mask? Right? A year ago, someone coughed next to you. You probably didn't even notice they coughed. So when you look at all the how do you call it, signs and symptoms between coronavirus and the others, they're very, very common. So what happens when a person coughs, has these sinuses, after reopening, comes out, and you have more people doing that? Well, unfortunately, what happens is sick people would automatically be associated with potentially having coronavirus. And then people are going to say, oh my God, we reopened last week. It was great. Today I go to Publix. Half of the people I saw at Publix was coughing. So half the people have coronavirus. So is there going to be a second wave? I think there will be, but it will not be a second wave of coronavirus. I think it will be a second wave of a lot of people being allergic, a lot of people having immune system response to just your general vulnerability because the person is naturally weakened immune system because of the lockdown. So I think that's something we are going to have to look out for. Also, unfortunately, because of the lockdown, we are going to see some not so good news. And what is the not so good news? The not so good news is you're going to see a potentially increase in upsurge of cancer cases. You're going to see a worsening of chronic illnesses. Mental depression, anxiety cases go up. Suicides, domestic violence go up. A lot of it is caused by the lockdowns. Now, upsurge of the cancer cases is 2 reasons. Number one, during the lockdown, everyone is scared to go see the doctor. So when they could have gone tested, got diagnosed, started getting treatment, whether it's chemo or natural, whatever, now they're not. So in 2 months, the cancer, the diseases will likely have progressed. I've seen that in my clinic. So someone that has diabetes, not treated for 2 months, well, 2 months later, the blood sugar probably spiked, especially since they're at home, they got nothing to do but just eat pom-poms out of the pantry. All the isolation, all the scare, fear-mongering, people are going to get scared, they're going to get anxious, okay? I had today in the clinic, one patient came and we have a new procedure, kind of like a pre-screening before coming in. So we're not opening our waiting room, so the patients stay outside. when we have a room open, I'll go outside and I'll do the temperature gauge with my scanner. I have a form for them to fill out to make sure they haven't traveled and they're at no risk. And then after that, I'll do an ultraviolet wand to kind of like disinfect their clothes a little bit. Well, it was about 8 minutes. I checked the watch. This guy was really pissed off that he was sitting outside. And he started saying that, you know, there's going to be people, the Department of Health with the camera here taking pictures and you're going to be in trouble. And, you know, the way I look at it is that's how I'm seeing people. People are very irritated these days. They have like literally very little patience. A lot of it is because of the isolation and the lockdown. So that's what we are going to see. This past weekend alone, I had to help a couple of acupuncture physicians with their cancer cases. They had not seen, these two particular acupuncturists had not seen cancer patients prior to this weekend, and now they have. And the cancers that they have, these people that they were seeing, are rare cancers. And when back in February and March, I was saying if there was going to be cancers, new cancers coming up or new cancers showing up, it would be these types of cancers, and it is true. One is throat cancer, and one is tongue cancer. Where do you think that comes from, the throat and tongue cancer? From all the Clorox, the Lysol, all the stuff that is coming in and getting stuck inside the throat and the mouth because you're constantly inhaling that. And these two people have, but these acupuncturists have been seeing that. So this is what we are likely going to see. Hopefully, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'd love all of you to tell me, you're wrong, I told you so. And I'll say, hallelujah, it'll be great. But my mom always told me, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So the worst part about this coming out that we have to be concerned with is this potential likely increase in this. So that's the second wave. So you might say, okay, so now that we know about that, what can we do? Is this stuff what we can do? This is like the meat of the thing. So what I'm going to share with you is a lot of stuff that you can do during the second wave and can prepare yourself, given in mind what the reopening, what you're going to be facing, what the second wave potential will be like. First of all, number one, of course, you have to follow the mandatory guidelines of your city, county, local, state, federal government. And for those here that are coming from Australia, etc., your country. And then, of course, CDC, WHO, the health department, and other health authorities will have their own recommendations that I'm going to ask you to follow. So these are guidelines that you may have to be mandated to follow. Some you can choose to follow. And then outside of that, what else do we have? First thing let's talk about is mask, okay? That's the hottest topic. To mask or not to mask? That is going to be the big question now, right? Do you wear a mask or do you not wear a mask? Well, I think it's more a question of the individual, all right? I was on a radio show this morning and the host asked me, how come in China everyone is wearing masks? You know, should we really be wearing masks? I said, well, you can't really equate US with China because in China, you look at the density, the population density. People walking in the street, New York City on the weekend, New York City during rush hour is like the weekend in China. It's that crowded. So in a non-pandemic environment, when someone during flu season, you're going to see a lot of people wearing masks, even forget about this coronavirus. So it's not uncommon for people just be trained. I grew up in China. If during flu season, hear a lot of people coughing, I'm going to wear a mask, not because it's that contagious, but because I am that close proximity with other people. Now, what about us here? Let's think about this a bit. Here are some big considerations. Big if, you have been coughing or sneezing, or you show some signs of the COVID-19 symptoms, guess what? You should probably wear a mask, right? Why? So that you don't spread your little crawlies to other people. At the same time, do you feel run down and your immune system compromised? Even if you don't have any symptoms, you should probably wear a mask. This time is not necessary to protect, to protect you, but to protect yourself from getting stuff from other people. Because if your immune system is compromised, you're likely to catch what someone else next to you may be passing to you. So now in this case, you're protecting yourself. Are you around someone or people who are coughing and sneezing? If you are, well, guess what? You probably want to wear a mask too. What's your profession? Are you constantly in close proximity with people like 1 foot, 2 feet, like doctors, estheticians, dental hygienists, massage therapists? Think about it. Let's say I'm a doctor and I'm very good health. I'm going in, I see 10 patients a day, and I'm treating a patient, and my proximity to the patient is probably around 2 feet, 3 feet. One patient, no big deal. At the end of the day, I see 10 patients, 20 patients. Well, guess what? I'm going to be inhaling a lot of their stuff. So if let's say I'm not a general doctor, let's say I'm a pulmonologist, and I see a lot of people with respiratory issues. Well, after 10, 20 patients, I'm going to start feeling it inside. So for me, it would make sense to wear a mask to protect myself. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop there. There's another thing I didn't put here. Another thing that you should wear a mask is if you're at home and you have people that are vulnerable. I have a patient that, their mother is fighting from cancer, or their mother is suffering from a very poor immune system at home. So they are wearing masks because they don't want to bring the virus home. So that's another reason, okay? Now, at the bottom, I've been telling my patients that regardless of how good you are, you must wear a mask when you go to the public restroom. I don't care how strong you are. If you think about it, here's why. I'm not talking about the pee and the poop that people do in a public bathroom. What I'm talking about, think about inside a public bathroom. What happens? Inside a public bathroom is where people clear their throat. They're inside there, they're coughing, they're gagging, they go, oh, ooh. And then they're sneezing their nose, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. Women will be inside there, guys too, shaking their hair, doing the dandruff thing. They get the spray, they spray their hair. Some people go to the bathroom and say, you know what, I just came out from the beach, I feel all sandy. They get out of the clothes and they start spraying it all over the place, and then they put it back on. And then how many people fart in the bathroom, right? And how big are the bathrooms? The bathrooms are small. How many bathrooms have windows? Not many. So when you walk into the bathroom, you are literally walking into an ocean of potentially mega bacteria all around. So if you go to a public bathroom, I've been telling my patients, make sure you wear a mask. That's the one place you make sure you wear, because you are truly taking a huge risk if you don't. And then on top of that, when you're done with the bathroom, you come out, I always tell the patient also, if you can, after you leave that facility where the bathroom is, go outside, stand in the sun for 5 minutes. Why? Because all the bacteria now is on your clothes. So you go outside, stand in the sun for 5 minutes, let the UV rays try to sterilize your clothes before you get into the car. So those are some of the things you want to think about in terms of masks. Now, because of coronavirus also, I don't know if you noticed, a new industry probably was born. It's called designer's mask, right? You see all the masks that are coming out, all the amazing designs that people have. Well, if you think about masks, there are actually a number of masks. There are altogether 6 different types of masks out there. The most popular one right now, because of the shortage, we had a homemade mask. And, God bless these souls. There's so many people out there volunteering their time during the lockdown. They're making masks from everything from bras to undershirt to t-shirt to towels, very creative, wonderful. These are the homemade masks, okay? So this chart, by the way, I pulled it out of the Business Insider. And the Business Insider, they have a bunch of the writers. They do a lot of the research, they get all the data, and then put together these charts. There's some really wonderful charts there. And when you look at this, in the US, it says, recommended for everyone in the US by the CDC for use in public places like grocery stores. And then there's a description. It's low cost, okay? Who needs for COVID-19? People in crowded places where it's difficult to maintain, 6 feet of distance between yourself and others. So this is a good generic mask. Next one is the in-demand surgical mask, okay? Those are for the surgeons, okay, mainly so they don't get germs on their patients. And they are for sick people to avoid infecting others and caretakers. The big one, of course, are the N95s. And also there's another one called the KN95, which is essentially like the N95. It's just rated not in the US. N95 is rated in the US. There's another one I think it's called the PPF1, which is rated in Europe. And the KN95 I think is rated in Asia. So they're all the same. They're respiratory masks, and they have a filtration rate of up to anywhere between 95 to 99.9% filtration rates. So they are, you've heard, the authorities say reserved for the healthcare authorities and stuff. That's what they are. They work with, they're very, very high filtering. Some of these masks actually have a replaceable little filter that you can bring out. Actually, kind of funny, yesterday, one of my friends gave me a present, where I did a lot of favors for her. So she was really nice. She sent me a mask. The mask had a big Scooby on it, okay? It was, how do you call it, built with cloth. And then inside the cloth, there was a little pocket. And inside the pocket, you can actually put little filters. I thought that was like so ingenious. And these are just the typical filters that you can put, you can put anywhere from gauze pads to cottons and stuff like that. So that's ingenious. So the top three, therefore, are the ones that we would use. The next ones, you have a gas mask. Then you have an even stronger gas mask. And then you have a super strong gas mask. And yes, we have seen people wearing them outside. Do we need that or not? Up to you. Okay, so, but it is kind of interesting. But this first one, the homemade mask literally has given birth to a whole industry. And if this ends up becoming a new norm where, we may not be wearing as many masks, but we will still be seeing more masks, this could end up becoming a big business. So, but one caution, when you wear a mask all the time, you are going to increase the carbon dioxide in your body. And the carbon dioxide is going to generate a reaction from the body, which results in the production of carbon monoxide. And therefore, what are the symptoms that wearing masks too long can produce? Dull headache, weakness, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath, confusion, blurred vision, loss of consciousness, even death. And you see in some of the news, and they're true, how people wearing a mask during driving and they lose consciousness and crash. There are people in China running marathons wearing a mask. And we've had like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, 2 teenagers died of cardiac arrest from running with their mask on. So, when we wear masks, we got to be careful. We have to use our common sense. But that's one thing I actually laughed too. In the requirements recommended to the clinics to reopen, one of the things that we were told to have on hand is this thing called the oximeter. If you don't know what oximeter is, it's a little square device that you can stick in your finger, and it measures the oxygen quantity in your body. Why do they do that? Because in the last 2 months, they found that people that was tested positive with coronavirus, their oxygen levels tends to go down. So the recommendation by the authorities was make sure you have oximeter, and the patients come, not just test their temperature, but also test the oxygen. I look at that, I'm like, do you know what you just said? Well, first of all, you're telling people to wear a mask all day. You're telling people to wear a mask wherever they go. You're telling people to wear a mask when they go to the clinic. So they come to the clinic after wearing a mask all day and wearing a mask in your living room, and now you put the oximeter in their finger? You think they really have enough oxygen going on in their body? They're going to be naturally oxygen deprived. So what is the use of that oximeter? I don't get it. Maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. It's just, to me, I'm just like, so anyway. So that's the story about masks, okay? Masks are necessary, but a big part of it is look at yourself, who you are, your environment, gauge. I was also asked this morning at a radio show, what about on the beach? What about wearing a mask? I said, well, if you have a beach where you can't even walk and you're next to each other, then yeah, maybe wear a mask. But if not, think about it. The beach, lots of fresh air. What's also at the beach? The beach doesn't have an umbrella. You got the sun, right? So you're in the beach, you're walking there, you got fresh air, you got oxygen, you got the sun. The UV light is going to kill a lot of the bacteria. So is the mask really needed? Well, again, ask yourself. If you have all those things, you may want to wear a mask. If you are weak, you may want a mask. But if not, you really ask yourself, does it make sense? So that's the mask situation. Beach, fresh air, okay? Fresh air is very, very important. Oxygen is super important for you, okay? So oxygen makes the blood rich. The blood brings nutrients all around the body, gets all the organs strong. Gets the blood moving, the blood is your immune system. You got rich oxygen, you got good blood flow, you got good, strong circulation. Oxygen, typically in a lot of green area, okay? So I put these pictures here, the top two, the beaches, Florida. So I'm just expecting someone to say, we're Florida, we have no greens. So I put this picture on the left here. That's where there is. That's Selby Gardens in Sarasota. So yes, we have greens. Granted, we may not have the greens like down here, which is absolutely beautiful. And we may not have the mountains like here in Colorado, but if we want it, we have oxygen. Now that the lockdown is lifted, you know, we have more freedom. Go out as much as you can and breathe. Get the oxygen to your body. Oxygen and ultraviolet light are your two strongest allies against any kind of virus. There's a sunlight, okay? So we have plenty of that in Florida, okay? That's why Florida, you're not gonna see the spread. We're gonna probably see a lot of cases. Why? Because we have a lot of old people. But we're not going to see a lot of spread because we are hot down here. It's just really, really hot. So go out, get some sun. Well, UV, there are three types of UV rays. You got UVA, UVB, and UVC. UVC is the one that is really targeting the viruses and killing them, including coronavirus. So hospitals are starting to implement that, okay? For example, now you can bring the sunlight, you can actually control the ultraviolet on your finger, on your hands. How do you do that? This is a picture of one of the hospitals. So several times during the day, they take everyone away from the room and they put this local ultraviolet light inside there and they disinfect the room. I placed an order for one. It's coming to my clinic. It should be arriving this week. I'm going to be doing the sterilization of my weight room area because the weight room is going to be the most transient and the most likely for viruses to come in and out. So for my small weight room area, this little standalone device, 50 minutes is all it takes to sterilize that room. But the important thing about this is, you notice it's empty. The UV ray will damage cells, will damage living stuff. So if you end up getting one of these, putting inside your house, when you turn this on, follow the manufacturer's instructions, get out of that house, okay? And then just let it turn on. It has a timer. After it turns on, give it the time that a manufacturer says it needs to let all the particles, everything settle down, that is safe again. For the one in my clinic, the sterilization time is 15 minutes, okay? The cell down time is 1 hour. So when do you think I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna do that Friday night before I go home. And then outside my clinic, I will have a sign that says, do not enter, sterilization in process. I already told the manager of the guys that come and clean the crew on Saturday, I said, if you guys decide to come on Friday, don't come. I will call you because I will be sterilizing. And at that time, it would not be safe to come inside and there will be a sign. It's that simple. So that's inside the hospital. Now, something like this is tens of thousands, even 100,000. I didn't spend that for my clinic. Hell no. I spent something like this. It costs 80 bucks. It's a small one that can stand on the floor. And this one can disinfect up to about 400, 500 square feet. You go to about 100 bucks, you can get something for, you know, it has to be exposed to the light. So you got a big one story, like the Florida homes that are wide open, you know, 1,500 square feet, and you want to sterilize the whole room in one go. 10,000, probably a little pricey. $100, not that bad. $80, even better. So you can do that. Now, I mentioned one of my procedures, when people come into the clinic, before they go into the clinic, I sterilize them with a clothes. What do I use? I use these handheld ones. And then the handheld ones, it's only a 15-second. I just take it as like a wand, and I'll just go along the clothes. I go 3 stripes. It takes 15 seconds to disinfect an area. So I go 1, 2, 3. This is clean. I go here, 1, 2, 3. So it'll take me less than 30 seconds when I see the person. I took the temperature, asked the questions, and then I go, okay, you can enter. Think about your house. If you have someone at home that's vulnerable, I know someone like, for example, Heidi, you work with a lot of the, the older folks. They are more immune system compromised. Well, guess what? Maybe at some of the residences, the admissions staff can use something like that to scan some of the people that come in. So, and how much does this one cost? The one that I bought is $39, even cheaper. So all these are stuff that you can consider getting, that you can use. So toxic cleaners, okay? This is by far the worst, the absolute worst things other than isolation that is caused by the lockdown. Think about it. You go to Publix, okay, before the lockdown, before coronavirus. How often do you think they clean the shelf at Publix? Maybe at the end of the day, maybe 1 week. Now, how often do you think they clean the shelf? Maybe every 10 minutes, right? So you can imagine, you are now literally walking in the whole Publix of smelling Lysol, Clorox, everything around you. How often do you clean your counter at home, right? So when you have that, you are now being bombarded by toxic cleaners. In fact, toxic cleaners is not just about dishwashing. Look at all the stuff that's inside your house. Everywhere in your house can have toxic cleaners. They're all over your home. These are them. And what do? They damage the immune system and they can contribute to cancer. So during the lockdown, the more cleaning you do, and God knows, I've talked to so many people during the lockdown. What are you doing? Oh, I'm scrubbing my floor again. I got nothing better to do. I'm going to scrub it again. And everyone's like, I cleaned the window shade. Oh, you know what? I haven't cleaned my closet for 5 years. I just went in and, man, I'm so proud I cleaned the thing up from upstairs. I was like, yeah, it's squeaky clean. But think about the air inside there. And think about what you're breathing, which is why I say when the lockdown is over now, people start coming out, the more they are exposed to this, the more the toxins have affected them, and the more their immune system are going to be compromised. Here is a report that came out not too long ago about lungs. This 20-year independent study says using national brand cleaning products like Clorox and Lysol as little as once per week is as bad for the lungs as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day for 20 years. That's how crazy it is. It is insane. So you can only imagine what it's like. So therefore, what's the message here? The message here is therefore to go in and use natural cleaners. There's a lot of natural cleaners outside, okay? My clinic, I use a natural cleaner for a product called Melaleuca, and they have the one that they use for the tabletop. It's called SoluGuard. SoluGuard has the ingredient inside there that just recently the EPA announced about 25 cleaners, both commercial and natural, that have the necessary ingredients to treat viruses, including coronavirus. And this one is one of them. So I highly encourage you guys, if you are not already looking at using the natural cleaners, start looking at them. If you need suggestions, please feel free to contact me. Otherwise, there's plenty of them out there and they are coming into play, all right? So that's the toxic cleaners. Social distancing, okay? Great word, social distancing. I look at this and, some of you may have the same thought, some of you may not have. You look at that, and let's look at our immune system. Okay, how does our immune system get strong? How do we strengthen our immune system? Do we strengthen our immune system by staying in a bubble? We don't, right? We strengthen our immune system by going out, exposing ourselves. How do you get yourself hurricane ready? By running hurricane drills. How do you get yourself earthquake ready? By running earthquake drills. How do we strengthen our immune system? We always say, get sick every now and then. Why? It keeps our immune system healthy. So when you isolate yourself all the time and you're away from everybody, you are in fact weakening your immune system. I mean, even like when authorities say, isolation, social distancing, clean everything, and at the same time, they are trying to make such an amazingly aggressively strong push for vaccination. My first question is, aren't you talking about the same thing? With vaccine, aren't you just putting some small strain of whatever you're trying to vaccinate the person, put a small strain into the person so the person develops a resistance, so the person develops antibodies and antigens to go against that bacteria? You're not locking that person up. So how is that different from a person going and doing some exposure to germs and bacteria to get themselves strong? It's essentially the same approach that they talk about. Well, if you had the coronavirus, you now have developed the plasma. Let's take the plasma and give it to the people that can't develop that. It's the same thing. So social distancing, yes, but how far do we go? So this is a chart that I put together, and it came from Business Insider. So for the non-American people, here in the United States, they say 6 feet. That's a social distance recommendation. It equates to roughly 2 meters. It's actually 6.6 feet because 1 meter is sort of 3.3 feet. So 6 feet is slightly less than 2 meters, but 2 meters will suffice. Okay, so social distancing, this is a chart that I brought from the Business Insider. So you have 3 types: social distancing, quarantine, and self-isolating. So you've also heard some people in some of the social media say social distancing is for the people that are healthy. Quarantine is for people that are not healthy. That is very true. But here, we're, the way how things are put to us, it doesn't matter. We're all social distance, we're all quarantine, regardless. But when you look at really what it means, social distancing is for people who have not been exposed to the virus. How long? Well, it's indefinite, the rest of your life. Who you can interact with? Well, your roommates, your family members, you live with. What can you do? Solitary walk, hike, jog, let employees work from home. Remember, this is still social distance, meaning we're still in a controlled environment. How to socialize? Cancel any unnecessary gatherings and plans. We are still in a social distance situation. When the social distance is gone, then we can do big gatherings. But until then, we have to have the gatherings. But for social distance individuals, these are people that have not been exposed to the virus. So now the person gets either exposed to the virus or the person is sick. If the person who have been exposed to the virus and don't have symptoms, well, the quarantine. People who think they have the virus or have tested positive for the virus, or even people that feel they are sick, they will self-isolate. So that's social distance. The quarantine, if they have been exposed, you hear the typical thing, 12 days. So Business Insider, they did the review. They say, we see on the average 12, 14 days, so we'll take the maximum. So 14 days. The self-isolating ones from the onset of symptoms, okay, assuming you haven't really gotten the virus, it will be 7 days from the onset of the symptom, okay. Who can you interact with? Well, quarantine, you're not supposed to interact with anyone. You should be in a room on your own. What can you do? Food and drink? Nothing. Stock up on food and water. Tell your significant half to go to Price Club or Costco and buy up all the toilet paper you can because you're going to need it the rest of your life over there. So, and then how to socialize? Well, don't leave your house aside from emergencies and things like that. So this is truly the social distancing model. And we are going to have to practice that. So, at least for now. This is a big one. Radiation, energetic effects on our body. We have known for a number of years now, we talked about microwave, we talk about cell phones, we talk about, we've always been asking, if I have a cell phone and I don't use a headphone, I put it like this, am I doing any damage to my brain? Am I going to have brain cancer? Right? This question has come on for many, many years. Why? Because we don't know the effect of the electromagnetic flux that's around the cell phone. We are creatures of energy. When you have this type of magnetic field around, it can disrupt the energetic fields that's going on inside us. It can cause a lot of damage to the immune system. It can damage the central nervous system, and it can contribute to cancer. 5G is very, very dangerous. Europe, last year, I've been following 5G very closely, and Europe, a lot of countries have been, they've been lobbying to not have 5G implemented. And those of you that are interested, go research the effect of 5G on the Wuhan coronavirus. There is a coincidence between the number of towers that has been set up in Wuhan in the last part of last year, coinciding that with the appearance of the virus, as well as the number of cases in the cities that have a lot of 5G towers versus the number of cases or lack of the number of cases in the cities that don't have the 5G towers. There is a correlation of that. I'm not saying 5G caused coronavirus. I'm saying 5G potentially was the thing that weakened the people in Wuhan contributing to the virus, whether it was coming from the lab or coming from the meat market. I mean, I'm Chinese. I grew up in China. I grew up having steak soup. Okay, we've been eating that all the generations. Why don't we have that all the generations? Is there a coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. But what we do know is there's enough research and studies, especially coming from Europe, even in the United States, that 5G is going to do damage. There was one recent news article, I forget which paper it was, right around the start of the coronavirus time, that showed a 5G tower was installed near a neighborhood resident, and a few weeks later, they found under that 5G tower, underneath that, lots of bees. The bees that entered the tower all died. There was like a whole flood of bodies of bees at the bottom of 5G tower. So here's a picture before cell phone use, after cell phone use. See how red it is. If, like there's a one device that I have here. Okay, you can see the white one. This is supposed to be a EMF deflector. So it's going to deflect radiation from the phone away from my ear and deflect radio waves away from me. Guess what? There's another one that I used a few years ago. It was an EMF absorber. Yep, you got it, Heidi. That's it. So there was one that I used a few years ago. It's called an EMF absorber. I tell you, before I had that thing, this was like about 4 years ago. After talking to someone on the phone like this, my phone was hot. Once I put that thing on, my phone never got hot. Something it did. So therefore, here are some good suggestions for EMF exposures. When you're at home and the night you're going to rest, put your phone in airplane mode. That way it's not trying to attract all the Wi-Fis. Turn off all your Wi-Fi and all those devices at night. Take those devices out of your bedroom when you sleep, because when you're sleeping, your circulation is the slowest. Your immune system is the weakest, and you're the most vulnerable. So at that time, don't, turn on your devices inside your room. Just leave it outside. Use an Ethernet cable versus using wireless. More recently, they're having paint that helps to block out EMF. I think this is really cool. So I'm actually going to be looking at that. I'm going to do remodeling on my clinic. I'm going to actually take a look and see these types of paint to put in the clinic. Okay. Spend more time outdoors. Again, It's not outdoors, you don't have EMFs, but when you're outdoors, you can strengthen your immune system. Your immune system is still your best defense against EMF exposure. Sleep, very, very important. And if you can have EMF protective sleep canopy, they have these types of material that you can put around your bed, and even little plugs that you can put into the wall that actually absorbs EMFs. I have them downstairs. One small plug I bought for about $70 at a convention about 2 years ago, and it's supposed to be good for 1,800 square feet. And I've had people ask me, how do you know it works? I said, honestly, I don't. I know they have papers that say it works, but here's the thing, I put it in there. If it doesn't work, I'm back at square one. But what if it does work? If it doesn't work, my cost is what? 70 bucks, big deal. But if it works, the benefits far outweigh that little $70 risk. So don't use devices close to your body, okay? Some of those Bluetooth is less EMF, less magnetic wave than the regular wireless, okay? Protect yourself in the workspace. Again, there are all these EMF absorbing devices, which is down here. You say US EMF protector. You can see them all over the internet, okay? Antioxidants, especially selenium and magnesium, are really good when they're in the bloodstream to try to absorb a lot of the EMF toxicity that's inside your blood. And protest 5G. I totally agree with them, protest 5G. 5G is not a good thing. So that's the energetic side. Strengthen the lungs, okay? Now let's think about why. This is the coronavirus. Before my last talk, a few months ago, I was talking about what was in China. Now, I don't want to talk about what was in China. American authorities are talking about that, okay? The cases in the United States, they're finding exactly what China is saying. Guess where it starts? It starts in the lungs. Everything starts in the lungs. All the initial signs, the fever, is the body trying to get rid of the infection. It starts from here, going into the throat. You start getting some sore throat, scratchy throat, dry throat, and then you start developing shortness of breath. That's the beginning signs. The entry point is the lungs. Once it goes in, then all hell breaks loose. See, the first 3 days, onset is all in this area. Going to the 4th to probably around the 6th day is all in this area. Once it gets past that, it's going to go down here. It's going to go into your blood. Then it starts going throughout your body. Your blood, the white blood cells, the lymphocytes are going to try and fight it, okay? If the blood is not strong enough, it's going to travel. Then it's going to hit the different organs. The organs now come in and try to fight. If those organs are weak, that's where you start seeing people having problems. That's why they're starting to find people that are most risk are the ones that have this issue, that issue, cardiovascular problem, hypertension problem, those things, because those organs that are responsible for those chronic diseases are the same organs that are being attacked by this coronavirus. So therefore, the lungs is the big thing. So therefore, you look at it. When it comes down here, past the lungs, yeah, we're in deep trouble. But what if we can add like a Fort Knox around the lungs to stop the virus from getting into the body? Well, we can. How do we help the lungs? Well, number one, stop smoking. If you smoke, stop smoking or try to stop smoking. Okay, lungs don't like dry and don't like cold. So avoid foods that are dry. What I mean by dry, baking, roasting, barbecue, grilling, and broiling. Those foods are dry and hot nature. So when you eat that, they dry up the lungs. Think about what happens when you go into a room. That room has a lot of smoke. What do you end up doing? You cough. Okay? Anytime you have something get stuck into your throat, it creates some kind of a dryness, you have phlegm coming up. The body's trying to lubricate the lungs. Lungs does not like dry. Lungs also does not like cold. So I meant to put one thing here I left out was avoid foods that are cold natured, which means that you want to avoid cold and ice cold food and drinks. Drinks, warm drinks, and room temperature and hot drinks. I was talking about this in January, in February. Now the last month, you're going to see more and more people say, warm foods, warm drinks, because they're finding that really subdues the coronavirus. So avoid cold food and drinks, okay? And avoid foods that are dry. So you say, what else can I eat? Well, there's a lot. You got your soups, you got your stews, you got your stir fries, you got your poaching, you got your steams. A lot of that. Avoid foods that produce phlegm, all the dairy, the deep fried, the oily, the high in sugar content, the fatty foods. If the room that you sleep in is not dry, guess what? You won't be sleeping like this, right? It'll be nice and hydrated, you'll be sick, right? So the more dry it is, the more you're struggling to breathe, the more you open your mouth, the more you're going to be inhaling, and then the more you're going to make your throat dry, the more you're going to affect the lungs, the more you're going to potentially bring bacteria into your body. So try to get the room hydrated where you sleep. Very easy. Number one, get a humidifier. 70, 80 bucks, okay? Or a lot of people use essential oil. Get some essential oil, put it in a diffuser, okay? Lavender, there's a lot of essential oil that helps to hydrate the room. Lavender is my favorite. Get that thing going, hydrate the room, okay? Put a glass of water by your bedside. All those will help to protect the lungs. Practice Qigong, which is a Chinese breathing exercise, and just breathing exercise in general. Go out, you don't have to say, well, do I have to do reverse breathing, do I have diaphragm breathing, I don't know all that stuff. Don't need to, just go and go. Just expand the chest. How do you breathe? If you don't know how, ask your 2-year-old to teach you how to breathe. That's all they have to do. How do they go out? Oh, look, Daddy, there's flowers. That's how you breathe, okay? So just go out and just breathe. In front of trees and in front of oxygen, just breathe. When you breathe and you expand the chest, you're also strengthening and you're exercising your lung muscles. Eat foods that nourish the lungs. Pears are really good for food for nourishing the lungs. Strawberry is really good for nourishing the lungs. Soups, hydrating foods, they're good for the lungs. Therefore, if that's good for the lungs, what's not good for the lungs other than what we've already mentioned? Spicy foods. Spicy food and alcohol is not good for the lungs. So protect the lungs is key. So if you look at what China did for COVID-19 in the beginning, they found the way to really stop coronavirus was not after it got in the body, but to prevent it from going to the body by strengthening the lungs. So that's the lungs. Boost the immune system. This is the do-all, end-all, okay? There are 3 ways. First way is, there's more than 3 ways. The most important way is food as medicine. Avoid raw vegetables. I'm probably gonna have what? Avoid raw vegetables? Well, raw vegetables damages the gut. Raw vegetables impairs the production of blood. If you want to know more about it, we can have a different discussion because this discussion alone can last over an hour. So just take my word, have more cooked vegetables. So the more raw vegetables you eat, the more you're going to start having blood production problems. All you have to do, food for thought, think about the people that you know that eat nothing but raw vegetables, raw vegetable vegetarians. What do they look like? They're usually skinny, scrawny, they're pale, okay? A lot of them are iron deficient, okay? They have immune system issues. They don't have a lot of energy. They can be depressed. They look like this. A lot of it is the immune system, which is basically their blood insufficient. So eat cooked vegetables. Lessen intake of foods that are sour and acidic. Sour foods and acidic foods, the sour taste has an astringent property. If you don't believe me, get orange or lemon, squeeze some juice, put it on your finger. What does it feel like? Sticky. That same juice, that same sour taste will congeal the blood, actually slow down the blood. It will act like super glue. It will slow down the blood, which therefore slows down your immune system. Less intake of processed sugars and alcohol. We already know that these damage the immune system. Okay, exercises to boost blood production and exercises to boost circulation. Why do I say that? Because when we think about someone has poor circulation, we're saying, well, that means the person circulation not very good. Well, we have to decide, what does that mean? Does that mean the body's not producing enough blood? Or is the body's not moving the blood that they're producing? Or is the body not producing blood and not moving blood? Those are three different situations, all resulting in poor circulation. So you have to find out which one you belong to. So there are exercises and foods that boost blood production, just like there are exercises and food that boost circulation. Foods, for example, boosting blood production. I already mentioned the dark leafy greens, cabbage, okay? Those are really good for boosting blood production. The red meats, they're really good for boosting blood production. Well, what about boosting blood circulation? The garlic, the onions, okay? Those aromatic tasting stuff, turmeric, curcumin. The reason why they're so good for arthritis is because turmeric and curcumin strongly moves the blood, gets the blood into the joints. The reason why people have arthritis is because the joints don't get enough blood. They end up swelling. They end up getting injured. So you take turmeric, you can get blood going into the joints. So you have to know, am I not producing enough blood? Am I not having the blood moving enough, or is it both? Then have to do accordingly. Foods or supplements to boost immune system. I mean, these are some of the ones that most people use. There's a lot more. Vitamin C, zinc, echinacea, green tea with ginger, elderberry, white tea. Okay, one of the things that you're finding, and I was just talking to a few COVID-19 survivors recently on Facebook. They were saying that they had the COVID-19. Some even went to hospital. They got cured. They came out, and for a few weeks they were good, and then the symptoms started coming back. And next thing you know, they started getting sore throat and things like that. I told them the reason why I started coming back was because they're at the hospital and they have antibiotics and stuff. That focuses on what? The body. Where do you think the coronavirus potentially is? It's not in the body, in the throat. It's still there. It stays in the throat for a long time. So I told them, those that are free from coronavirus, when you come out of whatever and you're negative, next thing you do, go get some zinc lozenges. Take the zinc lozenges, because the zinc lozenges, when you dissolve it in your mouth, is going to affect the whole mouth, the tract going down to your throat, and affect this whole tract all the way down here. So if there's any kind of virus left inside there, your zinc lozenges will stand a good chance of getting rid of them. Whereas the antibiotics, they just go straight into your stomach and start affecting the rest of the body. So if your body is weak, you either die, or if you don't die, your organs recover. But that doesn't mean that the virus is gone from the throat. That's why the second round virus, almost everyone said they start with the throat. So the zinc thing, zinc lozenges is a good thing to have, okay? Green tea with ginger, very strong immune system booster. White tea is huge in China, we use for boosting immune system. It's bitter in taste. It has the highest in antioxidants in all the colored teas. Green tea is very good in strengthening the stomach. So when you combine that with ginger, it strengthens the spleen, which is the organ responsible for the production of the white blood cells and in, controlling the immune system inside the body. So the green tea with ginger is a very good drink to have also. And then Chinese herbs and herbal formulas, I mean, does wonders for strengthening the immune system. Some of the ones that you might know, astragalus is a big one. Isitis root is one of the most powerful antivirus herbs that are out there. Yu Ping Feng was the go-to formula for preventing the coronavirus from getting into the body. This one is it's called a jade windscreen. It's literally, like the marketing name says, it's a windscreen. It screens, like putting a Great Wall of China around your body to prevent viruses from going in. So in China, as soon as the viruses start coming, every year with the flu, everyone takes Yu Ping Feng. I tell my patients to take Yu Ping Feng. When my daughter goes to Publix to do her work, before she goes, I say, you're not leaving the house unless you take Yu Ping Feng. Okay. Two other ones, cordyceps and reishi. In the last talk that I had, I was telling people to take cordyceps and cordyceps because cordyceps strengthens the lungs and the kidneys. The entry of the coronavirus into the body affects the lungs. The lungs is primarily supported by the kidney. So for the person to have a good, strong resistance against coronavirus, you need cordyceps. This second round, remember I was saying, is not necessarily coronavirus caused. It is caused by people's weakened immune system. I would recommend reishi. Reishi will strengthen the lungs, the kidneys, and the heart, but it also has a strong immuno-boosting function inside there. Reishi, in fact, is one of the strongest Chinese herbs used for battling cancer in China, where a lot of times they would take the reishi extract as well as the astragalus extract, and as an injectable, directly injected into the cancer cells. So those are the ones that you can use. But just like Western medicine, you do want to consult with your physician or acupuncturist to make sure that you don't have an underlying condition that these herbs would cause some negative effect on you. So just as a safety precaution. I do that with my patients, and they, like during the lockdown, they say, "Hey, Dr. Rene, I read that Yu Ping Feng is good. I also remember you giving it to patients. Can I take that?" They'll call me, and I would talk to them on the phone. I say, "How are you feeling?" I say, "Okay, yeah, you're fine." Just a precaution. I'm one of those super conservative people. Better safe than sorry. Okay, so that's the immune system. And then this part here is the other suggestions. This one basically I also covered in my first talk. Do not elbow bump. Elbow bump is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Those of you that were in my first talk will probably remember. When you cough, where do you cough? In your elbow, right? When you open the door, where do you open? Using your elbow, right? When you rub against the wall, what do you rub? Against the elbow. When you lean on a table, how do you lean? In the elbow. So why the heck do you want to bump people's elbow? Your elbow is the dirtiest part of your freaking body. How often do you wash your elbow? Your hands are significantly cleaner than your elbow. So why do the health authorities tell people, don't hug, bump elbow? Make no sense, okay? Same thing, I tell people, don't ass bump. It's the same thing. Where have you been sitting, right? So why do you want to bump people's asses, okay? Consider wearing gloves. And I said dishwashing gloves because dishwashing gloves can be rewashed and reused, okay? So some people are really adamant about wearing gloves, some people aren't. Again, just like masks, it's up to you, okay? The disposable gloves are great. I like doing dishwashing gloves because I'm cheap. I don't like throwing things away right away. I have the gloves. I go, when I'm done, I take it home. I wash it, I can reuse that. And dishwashing gloves are cheap. They're like $2 a pair, okay? So that's the dishwashing gloves. Leave your shoes outside the house when you come home because your shoes carry the most viruses among your whole body when you come home. Think about everything you've trampled down on the floor. There's pee, there's poop, there's spit, there's saliva, there's bacteria, there's food, there's feces. I mean, you think about it. Everything's there. You step on it, then you come home, you step inside your house. It's not a good idea. So leave those shoes outside, okay? Disinfect clothes, etc. when you first come home. When I come home from the clinic, I'll go right to my room. I take my shoes off. I'll walk to my room. I get out of my clothes, and then I'm going to wear a set of clean clothes. I take my clothes that I just wore. I'm bringing them out till the night. I leave them out there. Why? For the sun. And then at night, when I go to sleep, I'll take them back inside. At that time, I either throw them in the laundry or I can wear them again next day if I want it, okay? So that's how I disinfect the clothes. If you have that wand, you can also do that. So the key is clothes coming in from the street, you are bringing in virus. So am I paranoid? Not necessarily. You have to see how safe you need to make your house. It depends on who's in your house. If everyone is like, man, I'm like Hercules, no mama is going to be able to hit me and stuff like that, well then, your choice. But generally, the more you try to prevent it coming in, the better off you are. Use your own pen and stylus. A lot of you people are using that already. Practice Tai Chi and Qigong. You already talked about that. Humidify the room. We already talked about that. avoid letting pets roam around on their own. Keep them indoors. It's not because the pets will catch coronavirus, but think about what pets do. They roll around in the grass. They roll around the ground. People pet them, so they can be carriers on their fur. So they come home. What do you do? Kitty, 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 kitty. Oh, so good. And then you go to sleep with the cat, and then you hug the cat when you're sleeping. Well, all that stuff just got into your body. So if you are concerned about the spread, avoid letting the pets roam around on their own, okay? Clean your nails frequently, because a lot of people clean their hands, but they forget to clean their nails. Clean your cell phone. Wash hair at night before going to sleep, because same thing. You carry all the bacteria in your hair. You come home, okay? You go to sleep. If you don't wash your hair, all the bacteria in your hair is now on your pillow, and then you swoosh your face against the pillow, you're inhaling all of that. So best wash your hair at night before you go to sleep. And last, practice clean sex. Why is that important? You think about it, this is especially for women, okay? Well, guys, when we go to the bathroom to urinate, okay, how many guys wash their hands before they urinate? Not many, I don't know that many. You know, guys wash their hands after they urinate. So let's say they, at the end of the day, they go home and they meet their partner, their spouse, and well, things start happening. What do you think, how dirty that guy is before the shower? Women, you really want that guy to have something like that inside you? Hell no. If I was a woman, I wouldn't. I tell the guy, hey, honey, go jump in the shower first before we can have fun. Okay? So that again is just protection. Okay? So therefore, in summary, the key to battling that is to strengthen your immune system and to prevent it from spreading. So that's really all I have today. Any questions? I'm going to come back here. Okay, I'm going to unmute all. Any questions, anyone?
That's you. And then,
Oh, that was good.
and he said, and only do it for 1 month. He said, not to continue on and on and on. Gallows to help balance the acid.
And then you do it for a month, then let it go, then you can do it again like twice a year.
He said, when you're on
When you need it, when you need it.
He said, if you're too acid, you need it. Your digestion is off, you need it. So he's taking questions.
That was excellent.
Oh, good, thank you. So was that helpful for you folks?
Very helpful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Really like.
And
I
I'm
have
going,
a question.
yes.
I'm not familiar with white tea.
Uh-huh.
That sounds weird, but I'm
Yeah.
not.
White tea is a tea that you can buy. In the Western world here, there's a company called Republic of Tea. They have very high quality brands. They have a canister of white tea. It used to be about $12 for like 10 little bags, about $1 a bag. White tea in China used to be called the tea of the emperor. It was made from tea from leaves on certain trees and the buds that were way up in the mountains. And in those days, only the emperor had the resources. They had all the soldiers to stand up the mountains, because there's no cars, there's no planes, it's all the hills, and there's thieves and bandits. So normal people could not go up there. So that's why only the emperors were able to go up, get the butts down, and make the tea. So white tea was called the tea of the emperor. And the emperors drank the tea to keep themselves healthy and long life. These days, it's much easier, but when you look at the colored teas, white tea is still more expensive than black tea, green tea, red tea, or the other teas.
Does white tea have caffeine in it?
It does. It does. You're not going to find many teas in a natural state without caffeine. Because the thing about caffeine is like this. We talk about yin and yang, okay, energy. Yang energy is the aggressive energy. Yin energy is a calming energy. Yang energy is a hot energy. Yin energy is a cooling energy. So they balance, okay? Caffeine, very aggressive, very volatile energy. That's why a lot of people, when they're already wired, they drink coffee, anything with caffeine in it, they go, ah, like, right? So, but other people, they're like very lethargic. If they drink caffeine, like if you wake up in the morning, say, I need my coffee, right? Because you need the yang energy, okay? Now, teas have the caffeine, which is yang energy, but most teas, their natural energy is yin. So even though the tea has caffeine, the resulting energy is neutral. That's why people that get affected by coffee won't necessarily be affected by teas. So if you're worried about the tea, caffeine in the tea, very simple. Dilute it. Add just a little bit more water. Then you can do it. Very simple.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, Karen.
The reishi, is that what you call it?
Yes, reishi, yes.
What is that?
Reishi is a mushroom. It's
Oh.
a Western name is called Ganoderma.
Ganoderma.
Ganoderma. Ganoderma is a mushroom. It's one of the miracle herbs in China. It's specifically known for its ability to strongly increase the immune system and battle cancer. That's what it's known for.
And do you cook it or you just eat it raw?
You can cook it. You can cook it. You can buy them in slices, add them to soup. Don't need it. It's tasteless and it's rubbery.
Oh,
What is it?
Yeah, you can also go to the Whole Foods and things like that. They have the reishi extracts, and you can just get the pill and have the pill form. If you have the choice, when you look at reishi, look for the red reishi. You have red reishi and the other color reishis. Red reishis is the strongest for boosting the immune system. And you can get the Whole Foods in capsule form. And by the way, yeah, by the way, mushrooms have very good medicinal property. One thing you guys want to know is mushrooms come in two different colors. Black color, dark color, and white color, right? You have the white color, you have the button mushrooms, you know. The dark colors are the shiitakes, the reishis, you know, things like that, maitakes. Okay? The dark color mushroom, dark color strengthens the immune system. The white color mushroom promotes urination. So when you start saying, well, I want mushrooms, I want to have mushroom and fungus for health, well, what do you want it to do? If you say, you know what, I feel bloated, you know, I have this big ball of water inside my belly, I want to get rid of that, okay? Well, black mushroom would not be a choice. White mushroom. So use the white mushroom, use the button mushroom. But you say, I'm coming into flu season, I get sick very easily, then go towards the shiitake, the maitakes, the reishi. So mushrooms have that property.
Okay.
Just a side knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Doctor, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Do you have some protection in your phone? What is the brand? Where do you get it?
Okay. What I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and it's inside this white thing here, so I have to take the thing off. So let me afterwards get the brand down, and then I will type it into the do you know my page, Dr. Rene's Natural Health Pearls,
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. Do you know my Facebook page, Rene Ng?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll post it over there, okay? So I'll post
Okay.
it over there. That way you know where it is. And I'll try to see if I can even get the website and point you guys there, okay? The
Awesome.
one I have, you can buy them in packs of 10, okay? And they did scientific research by a doctor that showed if you have like a cell phone, you would use, I forget, 1 or 2. If you have a TV, you may use 5. So different wavelengths and different intensities of the EMFs, they're going to tell you to put different amounts of the deflectors.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that because a lot of people come and they give you one, and I'm like, well, is this super strong one that I'm overusing for this? Or is it good for this and not good enough for my TV? So this one was the first one I saw that it came out with these that makes total sense. And I've used that for a number of years and I really like it. I'll post it on my Facebook page.
All right. Thank you.
Okay? All right. Okay, Heidi's ready to go to sleep, so we're gonna say good night.
know. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with you. This is so relaxed. Don't be pushy.
I know. I like it.
Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate
you.
this. I'm going
Thank
to,
you.
after I hang up, I'm going to try and convert this to a recording. And if I can, I'll post it somewhere and I'll post a link. That way you guys can feel free to share with friends, okay?
All right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, doctor.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night. All right.
All right.
Night.
Bye.
Be safe. Bye.